I got a lot. I don't know. I mean, pills is a fat one. Because, like, yeah, that took away, like, a whole, like, year of my life. But other than that, just how I treat people when I get mad, or, like, talk to people when I get mad, like, kind of disregard how they feel just because, like, I'm in a bad spot, which I don't do anymore. I got over that, but that was more when I was, like, younger. But probably that.
My greatest regret is not going within myself sooner. Because if I would have done that, I mean, I'm 21 years young right now, but it would have saved me a lot of heartache, pain, struggling, not wanting to be here at one point along in my journey. That's my biggest regret, is not finding myself sooner.
Yeah, same. Not finding myself, not listening to myself, not trusting myself and my gut, my intuition. That's it. That's my biggest.
Absolutely.
Because that's all you have. That's all you got.
As I said in one of my TikTok videos recently, to go along with what we said here, the way out is within, is to go within. So meaning the way out of the depression, you know, that people might be experiencing, the anxiety, the heartache, the pain, everything it is that you're experiencing that you don't want to along your journey, the way out of that is within. Right. So.
Absolutely.
Not doing better in school. In high school, it was football and girls. I ended up with a lot of C's and maybe a B here and there, but I could have been all A's if I'd done my assignments. Took my books home and never opened them.
I don't believe in like karma or ultimate randomness or ultimate accidents. So although I do own some bad behaviors and mistakes, I believe Romans 8:28, that God works all things together for good of those who love him, so those who are in Christ. So, I think it's a beautiful tapestry of God's grace for his glory. If I could change anything just in the way of, understanding that God uses us instrumentally and we don't want to just walk out in front of a bus because he's a sovereign God, I probably wouldn't have squandered my 20s on trying to find my happiness in anything but Christ. There was a lot of wandering and drifting and sort of anchorlessness. But if I had done that, I wouldn't have married my wife at 33, and I wouldn't have my 3 perfect, beautiful kids who I love with all my heart. It's hard to say I'd change it. Yes, Lord has worked it for good. I'm happy with it. I own my mistakes.
Not traveling before I had a child, most likely, and buying a house. Buying a house settles you into one place, and I kind of look back and I wish that I would have just gone and not been afraid to just go the places I wanted to go. My mom told me before she had her brain injury and stroke 3 years ago, I asked her, what would you do differently? So she was like 75, 76 at the time, and she said she would travel more, hike more, be outside more. It has nothing to do with the tangible items in life. It's the experiences. Yeah.
Oh, God, no, I love my Honda Pilot. My biggest regret, probably something hurtful I've said to someone else. That'll probably be my biggest regret. It's probably happened a few more times than I should mention, but I let my emotions get ahead of me, and then I ramble on, and when I get mad, I try to hurt the person next to me, and it's not the best way to go around, so I'm fixing that. I try to keep my mouth shut. Yeah, I think that, what was the question? My biggest regret is definitely intentionally trying to hurt other people, because just because they did that to me doesn't mean I need to do that to them, so.
I'm not gonna lie, I've had a lot of regrets. I think my greatest one, though, is gonna be more of a vague, not realizing that I wasn't being myself for several years. I laid a lot of my personality on one person. I let myself essentially try to be someone else. And I locked away my emotions. I locked away living in the moment. So my greatest regret is simply not being true to who I am. But I've overcome that.
I like to say that I don't have regrets, but
but I feel like everybody does and they just don't want to speak about it. I try really hard in school, and I try to do the right things most of the time. But I guess like my early regrets, maybe high school, I wish I maybe applied myself a little bit more when it comes to schoolwork. Or not that I didn't get good grades or I didn't do well, but I feel like there's certain sports, there's certain things regarding my health or even school in general that I should have just been like pushing harder at, like when I was younger. But like yet again, like I feel like it's easy in hindsight to look back and then say I should have done this or should not have done this. So I feel like there's always gonna be regrets and things that we wish we could have done better years from now.
Biggest regret, lashing out at people I care about, you know? It's kind of difficult because people seek help and sometimes you just don't really know how to provide that help and it's frustrating and you just sort of get upset.
Well, I'm learning not to regret. That's part of my journey, not to have any regrets. Through meditation, mindfulness, realizing that I did what I did and it was what it was. I can't change it. Nothing I can do about it. If it's something that I hurt somebody a long time ago, maybe I can say I'm sorry, but to regret takes away all your it's a negative energy. It doesn't allow you to have your positive energy if you're constantly worrying or saying, oh, I was wrong, I did this wrong, it's the wrong path to go.
I don't have any regrets. I always tell Pam, all the time. I said, I've had past relationships and everything. I said, well, that if they didn't work out, I have no regrets about, doing it or having it. And I'm just enjoying my life. I make sure I just treat everyone the way I'd want to be treated. So I don't really have any regrets in life. I mean, everything I've done, I've enjoyed, most of it.
And you gave it your all.
I gave it everything I had. I really enjoy life. I really do. I really enjoy life.
Probably my regret is not having a little bit more guidance and a little more support to do some of the things that I wished I would have known when I was young. But it took me all my life to learn, but I did learn, and it took so long. So I guess I have many regrets. I regret not doing something that was significant. And I don't mean in a bad way, I mean in all good way of it all. But yeah, something significant. But I'm not done yet, so I just didn't get that when I was young. My regret is I wished I would have got it when I was young. Had more energy.
Ooh, my greatest regrets. My greatest regret is sort of pushing people out when I'm just sacrificing in terms of like what I need to do for the most part, because I always think I'm never good enough just because of the result of my upbringing and all that stuff. In fact, I had to grow up a lot faster, and as a result, it just made me a lot more isolated and aloof as a result from that. But I also had to take on further responsibilities in terms of having to grow up faster and just taking on further responsibilities than that, and made me miss out on like just knowing what it means to be happy, really.
I don't know, man. I mean, probably some work stuff, but that's not really even consequential in the grand scheme of things. I don't know, man. I can't really point to something. I feel like my dad died when I was pretty young, and I learned to live, to try to enjoy things and he was full of life. And he was 43 when he's passed away. I'm 48 now. And so I've outlived my dad, which is a crazy thing when you think about it. Like, I've lived past the age that he lived to. And it's pretty wild to think about that, but it's also inspirational to kind of like, okay, I can do those things that he never got a chance to do, or I can have those conversations with my wife or my kids or my friends that, maybe he never got to do. So, because I don't really want to think negatively, I want to have positive energy. It's not my intuition or what's my natural inclination. Like, I'm not an optimist. I've learned to be that way, and I think that's a good thing when you learn how to be positive and how to find inspiration in moments. So no regrets. You ever seen that tattoo? That's a good joke. Sorry.
I think my greatest regret is probably just not, like, my family fell apart and everything, and like afterwards I was kind of left on the back burner, and I think my greatest regret was sort of like giving into that grief and like starting a destructive lifestyle rather than showing up for myself and making a life for myself. I mean, my life right now isn't terrible, but like I could have gone to school and, I would have been much better off financially now and a little more stable. I think that's probably my biggest regret, is just wasting time over nothing.
not investing in myself earlier.
Probably just not doing well, at first in college and just having to go through all that where I basically flunked out. So just that regret of not being successful there, but overcame it, so it's all good. Probably wouldn't be that much different. Yeah, I know, right? And I've had people tell me that before too. It's not like I was not a success per se. So.
Not having more kids. Well, I got a divorce and never did meet that right person to have another child with, but I do wish I had more children. It's the only regret. He's all grown up, so I'm waiting for him to get married and give me grandchildren.
I think that I didn't spend enough time with my grandfather before he died. In the last years, I was remote from work, remote to him, and so I could not join him even if I knew that he won't have too long anymore.